Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Health Talk magazine. I'm Dr. G.L. Johnson. I'm your host and your licensed nutritional doctor. And the original company, the Aloe Man Incorporated, is the largest African American owned health product company and health product company of its kind anywhere in the world. We have over 1,000 herbal formulations to help you with just about any kind of problem that you might have. It doesn't matter what it is, whether or not they call it AIDS or cancer, MS, epilepsy, leukemia, Parkinson's disease, or lupus, or sarcoidosis, or whether or not they call it high blood, or high sugar, or high cholesterol, or poor circulation, or even if your feet hurt. You can use God's herbs in order to help your bodies to heal itself. In fact, it's biblical. Right there in your Bible, the good Lord has told us in Genesis 1:29 and 30 and in other places that he has given us every green herb for the healing of the nation. So when it comes to healing, God has already given us the instructions on that. He told us to use herbs in order to help our bodies to heal itself. So I always ask the question, could it be that you're still sick and ailing because you're not using God's herbs in order to help your body to heal itself? Could it be that we're just disobeying God and by not doing those things? So a lot of people are sick today all over the world. And maybe they're sick in many places that I go, they are sick because they're not using the herbs. They have decided to use more drugs than herbs. They have forgotten about God's herbs. But I'm also proud to say and really glad to see that more and more Americans, anywhere, in fact, around the world, are now using more of God's herbs in order to get healed. It is reported now that over 56% of Americans are now using herbs in order to help their bodies to heal itself. And they're turning more and more. And they think right now it's about 80% of the people who are actually taking vitamins and minerals. So when before that was almost zero, but this now is happening where people are learning that they want God's herbs because they don't want the side effects from the chemical drugs. And they're learning about the side effects and how it's hurting them more than helping them. So we're going to be teaching today about God's herbs. And one of the things that I'm also proud of is that God has given us the knowledge here in order to give that knowledge to you, that He's given us the knowledge about the herbs so that we can give you the knowledge to put together the right combination of herbs that you need in order to help your body to heal itself. And that's what we do. That's all that we do. Our products, of course, we make no medical claims at all for our products. Our products are sold only as dietary supplements and natural herbs. Our products only do three things. They help clean the body, they help regulate the body, and they help rejuvenate the body. And those are the three things that you've got to do in order to get well. And we're going to be talking about those too, so that you'll know that that's what you really need to do. God has given us the knowledge also to put together so many different combinations of, and if you couple that with the other modalities like Chinese and Japanese, then of course you've got a whole gamut of information here at the Aloe Man Incorporated that we're willing to give to you free because we teach it absolutely free to people out there. So I want you to just get your pencils and your paper out, and we're going to be teaching today from my new book that's called Common Sense Health. It's in its fifth printing right now. I think we only have a few left today if you want to pick the book up. But the book is on its way in. We're going to have more in its fifth printing right now. And of course, this book is it's revolutionary, it's informative, it's powerful information in this book that has been revealed. I took over 20 years of studies and crammed it into this one book. So that I covered over 50 major health complaints in this one book. So you can get a lot of, it's a reference book. You can refer to it when you or your family members are sick. You can refer to the book to get information on what to do about certain situations. And I covered quite a lot, and I covered extensively on breast cancer for the women out there. Every woman needs to read this book when it comes to breast cancer, every woman. And every man out there for prostate problems. And then I covered things like sarcoidosis, which we don't talk about much, but yet it is devastating to our community. So we need to know about those kinds of things. I covered headaches extensively in here. all kinds of migraine headaches or headaches that people might have, which a lot of people suffer with. You'll be amazed how many people are living in the dark because of headaches. So this book covers a lot of that, so you may want to get a copy of this book here that we're talking about called Common Sense Health, and I'm going to be teaching from that today. Now, a major subject today is going to be weight loss. That's what we said we were going to talk about, actually weight loss, but that's our major subject today. But of course, we are free to ask any questions. We're going to be able to answer those questions, and if you will, if you just jot those down, we'll come to a place where we can answer all your questions for you. But don't be bashful. Any question that you might have, we'll be more than glad to answer that question for you. And if we don't have the answer, we'll get the answer. But most likely, we're going to have the answer for you anyway right now. So let's get into talking about weight loss, or more preferably, waist loss. Waist loss. And I came up with this. I came up with this many years ago when I said there really was no such thing as weight loss, and there isn't. Weight loss is an abstract term. Everybody runs around. I mean, we hear people talking all about weight loss a lot, but really there is no such thing, because here's the thing: if you don't lose the waist, you never lose the weight. That's the way it really works. Because think about it, when you lose weight, what do you lose? Weight. I mean, you can't, it's impossible to lose weight without losing waist. You got to. So the whole problem is not about weight loss, which they keep teaching us on. No, no, no. It's waist loss. And then you have to say, well, what waist do we need to lose in order to lose the weight? And that's what it is. And then there's 5 major kinds of waist loss, of waist that we need to contend with. 5 major kinds. Number 1 is going to be human waist. Human waist, and then human waist, and then the next one is water waist. Water waist. And then you're going to have mucus waist. Everybody know mucum, or you might call it sputum, but mucus waste, mucus waste, and then you're going to have toxic waste, and then you're going to have the next one is going to be fat waste. Now all of these are the major, I mean, there's others, but these are the major 5 kinds of waste that actually cause us to gain weight, if we will. So the first one we talk about is human waste. You know that you can carry around as much as up to 40 pounds of fecal matter in your colon? 40 pounds of this stuff. You can walk around with it. And it's like every day you're getting up, walking around with all of this waste in your body. It's amazing. You'll be surprised at how many people walk around with 25, 30 pounds every day of their lives. And they don't realize that they never get rid of it because they don't have good bowel movements on a regular basis. So they're carrying around this human waste all the time. It's almost, you know, it's like every day you got to get up and carry this waste around all day long. And nobody ever realizes that you've got to get rid of the waste, the human waste. So how do here's the thing, how do you get rid of what's the most important thing you got to do is make sure you have good bowel movements on a daily basis. What's the ideal situation? The ideal situation is that you need to have a bowel movement after every meal. That's the ideal situation. But at least you should have a good what? A good bowel movement what? Every day. Every day. And we want to make sure it's a good bowel movement, not a what? You're not fooling yourselves. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You're not in there reading a paper. You're not in there little bits or whatever. You know what I'm saying. So we know you want to make sure that you have a good bowel movement on a daily basis. And here's some little tips on that. The colon, remember, has no muscles, so it moves sort of like a snake crawls. It pushes the waste out. in a way. So you have to tell the colon to move. And there's certain foods, I'm going to give you some little tips here on certain foods that you need to put in. These are major foods that tell the colon to move. Number one is raw spinach. That's a must. Raw spinach is a must. Next one is asparagus. You know, you should add asparagus to whatever meal you can, to your gravies, your soups, your whatever it is, asparagus. And the next one, of course, is dandelion leaves are great to help the bowels to move. And then next, of course, raw cabbage is a good thing to use also to help the bowels to move. So those are things that help. What clogs up the bowels more than anything else is white flour. White flour is the most, it cements the bowels. It clogs it up so that you can't have good bowel movements. And so that's what, and we're talking about cakes, pies, cookies, donuts, pizzas, cream of wheat, grits, all of the good stuff that's processed food. But when you take, anybody in here ever take white flour and mix it with water? You know, what do you get? You get a paste. And what can you do with this stuff? You know, you can hang wallpaper with it. You know, you can do that. You can, you've seen, once I glued 2 boards together with just flour and water. It stayed together for over 2 years. So it glues it connects to the colon walls and it sticks there. It decreases the size of the opening of the colon to allow your waste to come out. And of course, it clogs up the colon so it can't move. So white flour is one of the major things that you got. You want to do whole grain flour, not white flour, not wheat flour, whole grain of flour. So that's one of the things. Number 2, water waste. Now I know this is controversial. Water waste has always been. You know, the first time I said it, of course, they said I didn't know what I was talking about. This guy, you know, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's out in left field. But yet, water waste has been one of the major contributing factors. I was one of the first ones that came out and said many years ago, in fact, the only one, many years ago, over 20, 30 years ago, I came out and said this, that we were drinking too much fluids. And we drank too much fluids, and as a result of that, we ended up maintaining this fluid in our bodies. So the question becomes, how much fluid should we drink? And the answer is, I believe that we should be drinking no more than 4 ounces at any one given time. That's a half a glass at any one given time. And no more overall than 32 ounces for the whole day. Now, you may even want to shorten that for most people to 25 to 30, because most people drink more than 32 ounces a day. Now, this is including everything. This is including water. This is including juices, drinks, all of these things. Everything in melons and all, because a lot of people forget about that. But you can cut an orange and squeeze it in a glass and get 4 ounces of fluid. So you've got to count that all in one. So 4 ounces of fluid at any one given time, 32 ounces is the total max of fluids that you should be doing. Remember that. Because the kidneys can only make 2 quarts of urine a day, and that's if it's operating at optimal level. If it's not, you're not making that much urine. So if you're not making the urine, then where's the fluid? And there's 3 places that the fluid could be. Number 1, here's the 3 things, or should I say 3 things will happen to you if you're drinking more fluid than that. And do you know that the average person drinks about 1 gallon of fluid a day? The average person. And they don't realize that by doing that, they're gaining weight. And yes, because the fluid now becomes a substance in the body. So we got to realize. So one of 3 things will happen to you if you drink all of this fluid. Number 1, you're going to frequently urinate. That's the first thing. Now, if you don't frequently urinate, the next thing is going to happen to you is that you're going to frequently sweat all the time. You see people that sweat all the time profusely. I mean, they sweat even if the wind blows, they sweat. But those people were sweating instead of urinating. And that's when the kidneys can stream upward as well as it can stream downward. So when it streams upward, the water will come out through the skin. So in effect, you're really urinating through your skin. That's really what's happening to those people. So the next thing will happen to you is that if the kidneys are not able to make the urine, you're not frequently sweating, then of course you're going to maintain, the body is going to maintain this fluid. It's going to keep the fluid in the body. And as a result, you gain weight rapidly, and you don't even see it coming, really. So if you're one of those people out there that's drinking these big gulp cups and these, you're all drinking, we've got college students drinking 28 ounces for breakfast, and they don't realize why they're gaining all this weight. And they're gaining it so quickly, because if you're drinking a gallon of water a day, you can gain anywhere from 6 to 8 pounds every day. Every day. You'll never lose the weight. You can't. It's impossible, because you can't get it off, because the body is stored. The body is an efficient machine. You got to remember that. It was developed by God. So God has put everything in there for it to operate properly. And it does not take, should I say it this way, it doesn't take any mess. It just doesn't deal with anything that God has not put in there. That's why when people tell you that, so if you're putting in all this fluid, the body is sitting there saying, here comes some more of this fluid. What am I going to do with it? I can't make the urine, so I can't use the water, so what am I going to do with this stuff? So in order to do its job, the body gets it out of the way, so it will start putting it around your waist, around your hips, your thigh, anywhere it can to get it out of its way so it can do what? Its job of keeping you alive. And that's what the body does. So remember, I spent a little bit more time on that because a lot of people just don't get it. And they keep drinking all of this fluid and they gain all of this weight. So you gotta, but it can go on and on and on. Drinking too much fluid can kill you and cause major health problems. In fact, it is one of the #1 problems that we have that causes bad health. One of the #1 problems. So you gotta be careful about drinking too much fluids. Because remember, if you drink too much fluids, remember, I'll just take this a little bit further real quickly. The kidneys now begin to overwork. Now the kidneys get weak. When the kidneys get weak, the water now settles in the lower body because it's too weak to pull it up. The legs swell. The eyes dim. The hair falls out. All of these things begin to happen as a result of drinking too much fluids. And if that fluid begins to back up into the chest, now it affects the heart, the lungs, and the kidneys. Now we're talking congestive heart failure. You see, so all of these things can happen to you by drinking too much fluid. So please, don't drink all of that fluid. Next thing, mucus waste. Everybody know what we're talking about with mucus, right? The stuff you have when you have a cold, you blow out of your nose. You can walk around with 25 pounds of this stuff in your body. You really can. It can be in the head, the chest, the bowels, the stomach. And if it's in the head, what do they call it?